So are we live right now?
Wow, it's really dark.
No, you can't see us right now.
So, what do we do about that?
Yeah. Can you guys hear us at least? Let us know in the comment.
Yeah, if you can hear us, let us know. I see 39 people online. Oh, this is annoying. So why did it look better in the camera app than this?
Yeah, it doesn't pick up the... Oh, it was good for a second.
Yeah, I think let's just do the
Oh. What's your mic though, because...
Alright.
That's better.
Alright, so let's start.
So as you know, today is the unveiling of the Tesla Semi. So we are now live in Los Angeles, just a few miles away from the Tesla Design Studio, where Tesla is about to do the unveiling a little later tonight. So we're just going to discuss a little bit our expectation at Electrek about what we're going to see tonight and how it could change the freight transport industry altogether.
Right, so there's also some other things that could happen at the event tonight, and we're going to talk about a little bit of the speculation of other things that may happen, like Model 3 news, maybe a pickup truck, maybe some other stuff, maybe some announcements from magazines. We'll see.
Yeah, so of course the obvious one is the Tesla Semi. There's a lot of unknown about what else could even if there's a one more thing to be announced at the event tonight. But as for the truck itself, we already have seen the prototype. We've posted a lot of pictures about that on Electrek. We'll see the test mule actually, which is not the body of the truck is not Tesla's, but the inside or the powertrain, the electric powertrain. So we have seen that in action, but we have seen the prototype with the full body of the truck before. So there's not going to be a big surprise there, but I'm sure Tesla's going to have some design features to impress a lot of people with the prototype. But we're more focused about the economics. If you read my original post about the expectation for the truck, it's going to be all about the economics. I mean, I'm sure that during the unveiling itself, they're gonna focus on the design stuff, to just the cool factor that going to be in the design. But I think that ultimately, if they want to sell this truck, they're gonna have to sell it to fleet operators, and fleet operators can buy a truck just by looking at a spreadsheet basically and seeing the cost of operation versus the cost of the purchase of buying the truck.
The upfront cost in the trucking industry is almost nothing compared to the fuel costs and also the labor costs, which, you know, if Tesla's truck doesn't come out in the next couple of years, in maybe like 5 years, theoretically you're not even talking about the need for a driver or a full-time driver.
Yeah, that's also the big unknown. So Tesla released yesterday the first little rendering with a video of the truck, and a lot of people right now are speculating about the review mirror, which is actually not there. We already saw that in the original teaser that they released, but now you have instead just a little contraption that's getting on where there should be side review mirror, and it looks like it could be a camera, so to replace the review mirror, and that could also be part of an autopilot hardware suite adapted to the semi truck, leveraging what Tesla already developed for the autopilot program that we know today in the Model S, X, and Model 3 now.
Yeah, and we've also seen that rear view mirror camera in the prototype Model X. So we know that Tesla's already thinking about this, and I believe there was some government intervention that prevented
that failed.
That.
Yeah. So those camera actually predates autopilot itself. Tesla was thinking about that before ever introducing an autopilot program. So that might have nothing to do with it itself. But just make sure are we on the feed right now? Like the comments, or are people commenting? Can we?
Yep. We're seeing some comments here. Let's see.
Can you guys hear us right? Or we have our little mics right now that we just bought at Fry. Make sure that you can hear us.
Oh, could you reintroduce yourselves, please? Sure.
Oh, I don't think we even did.
So I'm Seth Weintraub, I'm the publisher, and you probably know Fred Lambert.
Fred Lambert, editor-in-chief of Electrek. Yeah, the merch, Electrek merch. Yeah, we're sporting right now our nice Electrek hoodies. Maybe that's gonna be in the future. Right now, it's just something that we give out to some fans and people who like the website. But in the future, yeah, maybe it's something that we consider.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad to see a lot of people are interested in it. It's flattering.
Yeah. So to continue on the actual Tesla Semi unveiling event, coming back to the economics, like I said, I think the event tonight is the presentation itself, since it's gonna be the usual Tesla fan that watch it and is gonna be pretty focused on the tech and all. We all love that. But to sell the truck, it's gonna come back to the economics. And like I shared in my Electrek expectation for the Tesla Semi, we expect for sure that the truck's going to be expensive. So the average diesel truck today, the Class 8, sells for about $120,000, which is actually something that it's already expensive. That's already an expensive price, because just a few years ago you could get away with easily get away with $100,000 truck. Not the case anymore. But even that's going to be dwarfed by the price of the Tesla Semi, which I expect personally to be around $250,000. Don't know what you think about that, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think this is going to be something where they don't want people to get the sticker shock, so they're going to probably say this is the price of the truck and this is the rental price of the battery, or this is the yearly cost of the truck, and you're actually leasing the truck, because I mean, everybody's going to be able to figure out, doing some math, how much the actual truck costs. But I think that fleet operators, and especially the people who are buying these huge trucks, are thinking more long term. So, to the typical Tesla fans like you and me, we want to know how much it costs, how much, how big the battery is, those kind of specs. I think, I don't think Tesla is going to play to that market.
So that was a question that plays into what you just said. So what do you guys think about the battery swap versus charging the truck?
Yeah, we've been talking about this a lot, actually.
Yeah, so that plays right into what you just said. If Tesla is going with a battery rental program, which I think is a big if, there's going to be a need for a battery swap infrastructure, which is a big investment, which is something I think is that's the big question here. You talk about a sticker price shock with that, but I think that actually this sticker price shock is easier to sell than to work with a battery swap infrastructure. If you tell a fleet operator that you're not going to own the battery, you're going to have to change it. I think even though it might make more sense economically, I think it's going to be a hard thing to sell. Which brings us to the second part of the question, which is against the charging capacity. So if you don't have a battery swap, there's a need for a very high charge rate, which I think plays into the next question that we just got from Matt Obadia, if I pronounce that right. What do you think the bonus thing is going to be supercharger V3 next gen roadster? The supercharging V3 is a good guess in my opinion. So I think if Tesla doesn't announce a battery swap program, they're going to announce a new generation of supercharger, maybe a new name too, since a lot of people are talking about ultra fast charger now. Maybe a step over. What's the step over? I don't know.
I think hypercharger, right?
Hypercharger, mega charger. I don't know, but that's a real possibility. So I tweeted the first time Elon mentioned that supercharger V3, so the third version. There's already been two different versions of the original supercharger. The third version, which he referred to supercharger V3, when he first mentioned it on Twitter, so I asked him what could be a possible charge rate for it, and I referenced the ultra fast charger that some automakers are talking about right now.
A child's toy.
A child's toy was his response. So if there's indeed a new supercharger being announced today, we can expect some insane, ludicrous charge rate.
So 500 kilowatt Does that sound good?
Could be more.
Could be.
I don't know.
I know BYD buses and a bunch of other like heavy duty electric vehicles already are in that range.
It's not unprecedented. It's possible. So that it could be part of what's announced today, but and that leads us to the range, a possible range. So there's been a lot of mention about the range. So how much distance you can travel in within a charge before you get to that super fast charging rate, and some information that leaked but were suspicious at best suggested that it was about 200 to 300 miles on a single charge. So that would cover just regional short range trucking, which is not a bad market to be in, by the way. So it's not like a lot of people are saying that if Tesla doesn't release a 500, 600 mile truck, they're not going to be a market for it. And that's absolutely not true. There's going to be a market for it if that's the case. But
that opens up some questions. That brings us back to the battery swap issue. Could it could that mean, because in the past Elon Musk said, you know, the battery swap doesn't work for anything except maybe fleet applications.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So maybe this is the fleet application he's talking about. In addition, you know, the 300-mile range, maybe if the chargers are quite fast, maybe, you know, every 300, 200, 300 miles, there's a, you know, what are we calling them, hyperchargers now? And it charges the truck in 30 minutes, and maybe that's fine for everybody.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And then they could put a battery pack in the trailer as well.
Yeah, that also plays into the whole thing. So there's a lot of big if right now, but if they do that, if they do a battery swap, if they do battery in the trailers and things like that, then that closes the market a little bit. Because a freight company which has a lot of customers and they are getting different rate all the time and trying to compete on new routes and specific jobs, they want a very versatile vehicle that can do a lot of things. So if Tesla limits the possibilities with this truck, with the Tesla Semi, through a shorter range, through infrastructure for charging or battery swap, through having part of the batteries within the trailer, that's a lot of limited factors. But what they can do with that is they can instead target captive fleet. So instead of going with freight companies, they go with the large companies that operate their own fleets, and those trucks have regular routes that are between their distribution centers, their stores. We're talking about companies like Walmart, like Amazon, like Home Depots, name it.
UPS.
UPS is a good example. So those companies know where their trucks are going all the time beforehand. So, but even then, some companies, if Tesla really hits an incredible cost of operation per mile, I think fleet operators are gonna find ways to take advantage of that. So they're gonna find ways to utilize the advantage of the vehicle, which is the cost per mile, even if it's a shorter range, even if it's restricted by some kind of battery infrastructure.
Yeah. So in addition, so we've heard some rumors about the specs of the actual vehicle and how fast it can go compared to a typical semi that's sold today. I think it takes like a minute to go 0 to 60.
Yeah.
With a load, you know, a typical load.
With or without a load, so I'm not sure exactly, because I think it can be done like up to 2 minutes with a load, depending on the truck.
Right. So a minute to 2 minutes, depending on the load.
Yeah. So we think it's going to be a lot shorter than that, obviously. So electric motors are known for the incredible torque, and they can achieve a quick acceleration from a standpoint, but from a standstill. So yeah, we think something under 20 seconds is really achievable. Doesn't mean much, 20 seconds for most people, especially for the Tesla fans, we are used to the Model S that can do 2.5 now, and Model 3 can do 3 seconds and stuff like that. But something like 18 seconds would be quite impressive.
Game changer for the trucking industry.
We're talking about something that's gonna at least weight 14,000 pounds. That's the very minimum that they can achieve. Most trucks today are 17,000 pounds. So moving something that big, that quick is impressive, no matter how you look at it.
And we saw that video of it accelerating. didn't we?
Yeah, we saw the test mule accelerating.
Test mule, and that seemed kind of quick.
It seemed kind of quick. Some people, I saw the comments on an article about it on Electrek, tried to gauge the actual speed based on the video and the approximate distance that it moved, and it's difficult to calculate exactly, but it was definitely quicker than a diesel truck of that size. So now coming down to the actual, something that we referenced a few times already, but we didn't get into, which is the most important part about that. That's going to be the most important number that Elon was going to talk about tonight. It's the cost of operation per mile. Before I can think for a driver, because that was a big if that we discussed already, whether or not it's going to be self-driving now or at one point in the future.
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be at some point in
the
future.
Yeah, some point in the future. It's unless they say that the truck is going to be on the road like a year or 2 years from now,
right.
And at that point it's going to be electric. But we think they're going to try to bring at least like low volume in the hands of customer as soon as possible, and those are likely not going to be fully autonomous. And Elon Musk also talked about the comfort of the drivers and stuff like that. So there's definitely an aspect about, having someone behind the wheel of that truck.
And there's like a cab, you see the window and
and also in the trucking industry in general, the driving is one part of the job of the truck driver. There's also a lot of logistic around that needs to be handled right now. Cannot be easily automated at this point, but so we're talking about $1 per mile for an average diesel truck before accounting for the cost of a driver. That's the cost of a fleet operator, of someone that's operating a fleet truck. Right now, what we are estimating based on savings from efficiency, so using electricity instead of diesel, and possible other efficiency improvement like with the weight. So a lot of people think that because of 400 kilowatt hours, 500, 600 even kilowatt hour battery pack, that the truck is going to be automatically heavier, but I'm not so sure about that. I think there's a possibility that Tesla made some efficiency improvement there. We think it's going to end up between 40 cents and 60 cents per mile, which would be roughly half of the cost right now. So I don't know what.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you go out a couple years, that becomes way bigger cost than the initial startup price of the vehicle, and this is the kind of disruption that will change the industry if it's this big a change. So these companies that do buy these electric vehicles, electric trucks, are going to be at such an advantage over the companies that don't, that the companies that don't are they're basically going to go away, or they're not going to be able to do business.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of disruption we tend to think about Tesla creating. So that's kind of like what we're expecting to see tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be. Sometimes the word disrupting is overused, but if you cut the cost of operation of a truck by half, it's definitely the disrupting is the right word. But of course, there's a lot of a big if here. But like I wrote in an article, I think Elon Musk has been putting a high expectation on, has done nothing to manage the expectation for this something, that's for sure. So if they achieve a 40 cents per mile, it would be in line with those insane expectations that he's been promoting. But I think a 50 cents, 60 cents would be also very impressive. Sorry.
So are we still? So have we covered everything about the truck? If there's anything about the truck?
Well, I see Matt ask another question. Can you remind us of the other plans that they spend the Fremont factory? Sorry, I'm losing my voice right now. Is there going to be space to build the trucks in Fremont? That's a very good question. We visited Fremont earlier this summer, Seth and I, and the focus right now at Fremont is really on the Model 3. So, they are right now. I don't think even Tesla maybe knows exactly what they can and what they can do at Fremont, because they're still evaluating their current Model 3 production line to see how efficient that is, that really is, and they want to replicate it in order to increase their production volume next year. Because right now they aim to be set up at around 5,000 units, and they need to take that to 10,000 units next year. And they, like Elon Musk said during the last conference call for the Q3 financial result, they don't know exactly how they're going to set up that other line to support that, because they need to understand better the first line. And so if there's a lot of improvement that can be made on the new line, then maybe they're going to have room to squeeze the truck in somewhere, because that's going to be a lower volume vehicle for sure. But it's the body line and stuff like that's going to be a monster, really. So.
Right. I mean, they could outsource a lot of that. I would imagine that the battery packs were going to be made at the Gigafactory.
At the Gigafactory, that's true.
So, and we've also heard anecdotally, I don't know if you were part of this conversation, but someone had told us that there's parts of the NUMMI factory that are basically untouched from the Toyota GM days. And there's still, like, you know, assembly lines there and just old parts just stacked up. So I think there's room. I don't know if there's room in Tesla's, like, bandwidth. Like, I would kind of say, hey, focus on getting this Model 3 out. You know, that would be my, like, advice. But, like, this is, you know, an Elon Musk, like, 17 things going on at the same time type of thing.
The argument is that the Tesla Semi needs to get to market as soon as possible, because it's an important segment to electrify for sure. There's a lot of emission coming from freight transport. It's not a trivial thing to do. It's going to be difficult, but it's a very important thing to do, to arguably to the same level as the Model 3. So it's can be frustrating to Model 3 reservation holder, thinking that maybe there should be more effort on the Model 3, but I'm not so quick to go there.
Yeah, so maybe we should go into, you know, other possibilities. I know one thing we were thinking about, it's been speculated a lot that Tesla was going to, you know, show some other type of vehicle. You know, there's the rumors of the Model Y, which is it was originally not going to be based on the Model 3, but now is going to be based on the Model 3 because Elon Musk said his executives talked him out of it, which seems like it's at the theoretical stage at that point. But anyway, so model
if they show something, it's going to be a prototype,
right?
So, and there's been a lot of evidence that there's already our prototypes of Model Y out there, or at least at the design studio, which was where the event's going to be. So that's not impossible. And if they are to unveil a new vehicle at the aside from the Tesla Semi, it kind of has to be the Model Y, since technically it's the next one to be released. They said that after the Model 3, the focus is going to be on Model Y. So a lot of people also said, like, the Tesla pickup truck, maybe a Tesla van based on the Model X that was also mentioned.
Maybe they'll make the Tesla El Camino a Model 3 with a flatbed on the back.
Yeah.
And
or even Matt mentioned the Roadster, since the next gen Roadster showed up in the Tesla referral program out of nowhere. Like, they're telling us that they're gonna give you a huge discount depending on the number of referral you make on the car that wasn't even unveiled yet. And so that was kind of weird earlier this summer when they announced that. And it certainly got us thinking that maybe we're going to see that car sooner than we thought.
And yeah, that could be based on the Model 3 platform as well. I mean,
also,
it's, you know, it's
the size is right.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Other than that, so I'm a little bit more skeptical about maybe a whole new vehicle aside from this Semi being unveiled at the event. I'm more about a function, like a feature or an accessory, or
right. So the charging,
like the charging, like something that is going to be beneficial to the entire Tesla community.
Right. So these mega hyperchargers that charge the trucks, are they going to be available to the car Model S and X owners? So
that'd be the big news if someone. I'm not sure that it's going to be the case. Honestly, we know that Tesla has been working to improve its battery technology in order to support a higher charge rate without damaging the cells, which is the problem right now in achieving high charge rates. So it's not impossible, but
I think the thinking was that the new 2070 cells were going to be key to the faster charging.
Yeah, that was the original assumption. Tesla didn't announce that or anything relating to that with the release of the production version of the Model 3, but it's certainly a possibility.
And even currently, if you're a Model S or X owner, that you'll get the full 120 kilowatt or whatever speed of the charge initially, but that goes down pretty rapidly as your battery starts to fill up. So if Tesla's able to do even 200 kilowatts, that's going to almost immediately go down because the cars are already capping the amount of kilowatts going in. So in my opinion, I don't think that Tesla can get a much faster charge on existing cars anytime soon.
That's a real possibility. It'd be a real bummer too, but that's possible. Tesla riding mower would be awesome. Yeah, it would be, but I don't think that's in the plans. And there's actually one company that's doing that. I forget the name right now, but I don't think we made an article about it on Electrek, which is...
we were actually trying to get a review unit.
Yeah, that's right. We contacted the company to get a review unit in order to get that, but they are sold at Home Depot. They're full-on ride-on lawnmower.
It's like Machishida, or I feel like it's a Japanese brand.
I think it's a Japanese. I think it's a big company that's doing it too. It's not like a startup or anything. They were already on Home Depot. It's one of those big companies that do power tools. Yeah, all electric power tools, and they did one of those.
And early reviews, I think, were pretty good. I think people are enjoying them. You can also do what I do and buy an old Gem. 2002 Gem, and
you use that to lower lawn.
You could
mow your lawn.
You could. I use it for the other things that people use mowers for, like dragging crap around your yard and picking up tree stumps and that stuff.
So coming back to the Tesla Semi unveiling, what we're hoping for also is to get inside that truck. It's going to be an impressive truck to see the interior. Right. A lot of people right now are also speculating, is it going to be just a day cab or something that you can sleep in? That's also not clear from what we've seen from the prototypes. Like, it looks like it could be enough to have a cab in the back, but I wouldn't confirm that. Like, don't quote me on that, but it's a possibility. So Tesla also talked about what we will be looking for in terms of production, to go back at the production of it. And I must talk about sharing components with the Model 3, so that could facilitate the production of the truck.
I think that the truck is going to have 4 or 6 Model 3 engines,
drive units. Yeah, I'm not sure of the number exactly, but it's going to be possibly at least 1 per axle, maybe more than 1 per axle. So yeah, 4 to 6 is a real possibility. So right now, the Model 3 drive unit are made in at the Gigafactory in Nevada, and so that could definitely facilitate the production of the truck. But to come back to the actual body of the truck, that's going to be probably the bottleneck right now for the production.
Would Tesla outsource the body of the truck production?
That's a real possibility too, because a lot of truck makers are doing that. But the way I see it, I think there's going to be a lot of technology, a lot of improvement made at that level too. Like I said, I wouldn't be exactly surprised if Tesla announced like that the truck is not as heavy as most people would think. And if they do that, it's going to be a lot of very ingenious engineering to incorporate that electric powertrain within a truck form factor. That would be impressive. How many is a bunch for the Model 3 motors? Yeah, that's a good question. I think 3 is not enough to be a bunch. 4 is starting to get there, so at least 4 motors. And if it's, I wouldn't be exactly surprised if it's 6. And 6 is definitely a bunch. So you found the electric riding lawnmower.
Yeah, so it's Ryobi.
Ryobi is the name of the company.
Yeah, it looks good. And if anybody at Ryobi is listening, I want one for my yard.
Yeah.
definitely need one of those pretty quickly. Actually, maybe in the spring. All right, so we've got some more questions here.
Yeah, don't hesitate to put your question in the YouTube comments. Although I think maybe people have been commenting too on the Electrek comments, so maybe we could check that out too.
So a Tesla trailer with motors and batteries. We've talked a little bit about how the trailer could have an additional battery. It just makes sense, from a driving standpoint. These companies that have these small fleets that go around in shorter spurts have their own trailers. You never see a Walmart trailer with a different type of truck. So it's kind of like a one-piece type of vehicle. So yeah, theoretically, a battery pack in the trailer could help the truck. Also, aerodynamics-wise, you don't want to put one of those old-fashioned trailers on a super aerodynamic truck and kind of pull it back, when it's zooming down the street. So I imagine that Tesla's going to have a lot to say about what trailers go behind these trucks. I mean, maybe the trailers also have some other, like Joe Schmo 1024 says that, or somebody else said that there could be even motors in the back of the trailer. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd be, like I said, unless they're really focused on those captive fleet like the Walmarts of the world, I'd be very surprised that there's something new with the trailer, because it's a very low margin product, and that is tossed around a lot, and the freight companies will leave a trailer at a client, they pick up another trailer, something like that. So managing the logistic of that is not impossible, that's for sure, but it will be very complicated. It's going to be a tough sell for those fleet operators. But like I said, Walmarts and stuff like that would be prospective customers, and we already know that Tesla's been showing the prototype, or at least the test mule, around to potential customers, and so if some of those were within those customers, some of those Walmarts and Amazon and such, those companies operate a mind-boggling fleet size-wise. I mean, the number of trucks that they're operating, they could potentially buy years worth of Tesla as production capacity for the Tesla Semi. So not impossible that they start out with that, and maybe they talk about other configuration of the truck that could handle larger distances without a tricked out trailer with more batteries or possibly motors, like the person commenting said. So it's definitely a possibility. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised that since Tesla was already showing the truck around to customers, and if they were confident about the number that they brought forward, the numbers, I mean the cost of operation and the starting price of the truck, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla announced that they already sold out a number of trucks, or even in years of productions.
Yeah, and also Cummins, Daimler, who else? Some other companies have also announced.
Volkswagen announced a large investment in an electric truck. I don't think they already have a prototype that they showed a while back, but it's not in the pack that was recently released just before the
right. It seems kind of strange to me that all these companies are trying to get the word out that they're also working on electric trucks. To me, it seems like, Tesla's probably going around behind the scenes saying, hey, would you buy this truck or whatever, and the word on the street, these people are buying trucks are like, you know what, we're going to hold off on our big order of Cummins diesel trucks right now because we've got this other thing that we're thinking about. And Cummins is like, oh, maybe we should do something else. So I think that's kind of, I'm probably being optimistic here, but I think there's probably some rumblings in the industry.
Well, it's something that happened with the Model 3. Like, even years before the launch, people were already planning to buy it. So by planning to buy the car, you work around the time that you're going to change your car, which result in possibility losing a sale to another automaker in the same segment. So that's definitely a possibility. But
Yeah,
normally, when you need a truck, you need the truck.
Yeah,
Or
you
you need to update your fleet, and so I think that's going to be less of a reality for this segment of the industry. But I think people are really pretty excited. Those that got to see the truck, and they have the numbers and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they'll already put down their name to be among the first to get one of the Tesla Semi.
Yeah, and so what else are we going to see at the event? So let's go back to that. One thing that we were kind of speculating about today is that right now is right about the time that Motor Trend announces their car of the year, and
Yeah, so they just announced that Tesla is is on the list. The Model 3 is on the list, right?
Right. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, but what's interesting is usually they announce mid-November, which is right about now, their car of the year. We were kind of wondering if that was one of the reasons why Tesla delayed this event, because maybe they had gotten wind that they were going to win the award, or they were in the finals, and they were like, well, maybe we should wait to see if that's the case. I know there was a secret Tesla event almost exactly 5 years ago. That was the first Tesla event I went to in New York City, where Tesla Model S won the Motor Trend Award, and nobody even knew why we were going to this Tesla event in New York City. So I think that would be kind of a neat surprise, a little over 5 years after the Model S. Although, is the Motor Trend Car of the Year still
as important as it used to be? I'm not so sure. Like last year was the Bolt, that won the Motor Trend, and the timing is the timing is always the same every year, but the situation around the availability of the Bolt cars are very similar too. I mean, when the Bolt won the award, no one had their Bolt yet, or almost no one. They started production. They started deliveries in December with very low volume. So a few customer had them, but not many. And right now there's probably more Model 3 or very similar number of Model 3 on the road right now as there were at the time for the Bolt, but no regular customer as a Model 3 yet, as we know.
Yeah, and actually I think we heard a rumor from Facebook via Reddit about the first non-employee getting.
Yeah, so that could be another surprise too at the event, possible surprise. Maybe they're gonna deliver the first Model 3 to regular customers. By regular customers, I mean non-employees or family members, non-employees or investors, company insiders, those people. So that could be a possibility, and we saw that Tesla was stockpiling Model 3s, not so far from the event tonight, the location of the event.
Yeah, so I happen to be in the area of the Marina Del Rey. I think it's going to be the new Marina Del Rey delivery center.
Yeah.
And man, I've never seen so many Teslas, but there were about 20. I think we counted 20 Model 3s, and most of them, clearly they're all pretty new. A few of them had some tape markings that this had been fixed, or this was checked, or this was whatever. So the fact that they're stockpiling Model 3s here in Los Angeles kind of indicates to me that a wider rollout is coming. And I saw two different Model 3s with mid numbers over 1,000. So I don't know if that means they're starting to ramp up in a bigger way, or if they're skipping numbers perhaps, or
they're definitely skipping numbers, as we found out when we started tracking the early VINs that they were filing with the federal agency in charge of that, versus the number of cars that were actually produced and delivered. And so of course there's also discrepancy between the vehicles that are delivered and the vehicles that are produced. But beyond that, even if you compare to the vehicle produced, the VNs just didn't match. So with higher volumes, it's going to be a not so bad of a way to track that progress on the ramp up. But at this time, with only about 1,000 VINs spotted, we think it's still too early to get a very good idea of how many vehicles are out there. But you saw at least 23 over 20 Model 3, so that are here in Los Angeles right before the delivery of the not the delivery but the unveiling of the Tesla Semi. So that could also be one of the surprise at the event.
And we have to wrap up soon. We're going to try to get in the next 5 minutes. So if you have any last questions, get those to us now.
Yeah.
But one of the concern people have right now is, and I don't know if we haven't been watching the news too much today, but is the $7,500 dollar tax credit still happening? I know the Republicans passed some
in the House. So the House bill, which included the repeal of the tax credit, has passed. So there's still. I'm not an expert in U.S. politics. I don't know if you can tell from my accent. I'm not from here, but there's apparently still a chance that it can be blocked with the Senate. My understanding.
Theoretically, it could be blocked by the Senate. Lots of things can happen, but if it doesn't go through and the $7,500 tax credit does expire, that means only until December 31st, midnight. Will a $7,500 tax credit be applied to a Model 3 purchase, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, we're talking about not hundreds, not thousands. We're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of Model 3 reservation holder that could have gotten the federal tax credit but will not because of it. So yeah, it's definitely a huge deal.
And it's not like, so Tesla's almost out of, they're going to be out next year anyway of the 7,500, but it's not like you don't get anything. You still get $3,750 back for I think 2 quarters after that.
You get the full 7,500 for the current quarter during which you reach the 200,000 vehicle delivered mark, plus another full quarter of it, so potentially 2 quarters. And so the important number is the production rate at the time they hit that mark. So if they are at 5,000 units per week at that point, we're talking about a very large number of vehicles that can be delivered during that 3 to 6 month period that you still get the full credit. And then yes, after that you get the half credit and then no credit at all. But yeah, it's a huge deal for U.S. buyers right now, and not just for the Model 3, but for any vehicle. I think the Bolt is gonna take a big hit for that, because I'm not sure how many people are gonna be willing to pay over $30,000 for that vehicle without a rebate on it. So
it's a hot hatch.
Yeah, it's a hot hatch, but it's a hard sell to at that price to get that kind of vehicle. But the Leaf also could get a hit. Though
yeah, that's going to be a bad time for the Leaf, because that's a huge chunk of the. I mean, the Leaf is what, 25,000?
It started at 29.
29 and goes down to 22. But I mean, that's as a percentage of the cost. I think
it's bigger.
The lower priced EVs are going to suffer a lot more than obviously Tesla. The high end theoretically people who are buying the Model S and Model X aren't hurting for money and can spend a little bit more. But I think it's going to hurt the whole electric vehicle industry in general, and maybe we'll hear something about that today. Maybe a little bit of lobbying, public lobbying or something.
Definitely going to have something like that on Electrek soon to try to clarify the situation. But it looks kind of dire right now. It's not
a little bit.
We're not too optimistic about that. But we need to leave soon. So unless I don't see too many questions right now, a lot of comments. But
about the flat Earth.
Florida community is creeping in our stream right now. But just to recap for the event tonight, Tesla's gonna open the doors at 7 p.m. Local time. We have a post about that on Electrek if you want to get your local time and everything. But we're gonna start we're gonna have a live blog on Electrek that's gonna be fed with all our social media posts from Seth and myself, and we have also Jamie that's coming from Electrek, and a bunch of people's gonna be there. So we're gonna try to feed you.
So follow us on YouTube. We're gonna do some live YouTube streaming, and if you're here, just hit that subscribe button, and then we're gonna do Instagram. So subscribe to our Instagram, which is Electrek.co. We're going to do Twitter, Electrek.co on Twitter, and we're going to do Facebook Live, so subscribe to us on Facebook, and we're going to do different streams and different bits of video for each of the platforms.
We're going to have as many content as we can, as many pictures and many video, and later on after the event we're going to have maybe more in-depth post about what Tesla unveiled tonight, whether it's just the Tesla Semi or more like we discussed earlier in the stream. So thanks a lot for joining us, guys, and maybe later on we're gonna have other podcasts of the sort, maybe not just live stream like that, but more fleshed out podcasts about our article on Electrek and the renewable energy and EV scene in general. So let us know what you think about that, and how we can deliver something that you'd like to consume in that space, which is video content and audio content.
Cool. Thank you for joining us. If you're at the show tonight, come see us. Maybe we'll have a couple extra sweatshirts for you, and we hope you have a good time.